Oh boy! I hope y'all are ready to get edumacated today. Because I'm sure excited about educating you about my babies. I'm so excited. Hello. No. So, here's the thing, right? So today's stream is gonna be very special, okay? But I don't think I'm the best person to tell you about all this. You know, maybe there's someone else who her whole thing now is being sort of an interdimensional journalist, chronicling the lives of very interesting people she comes across. Maybe. So I was gonna get a special guest to help me for this stream. So let me just hydrate is a good idea. Hydrate, I think I'll need that. Place your bets now on how long I'll be able to keep a bit going. Anyway. let me just hold on. Let me just go get our special guest. Let me just go over here. So, there we go. Hello. Hi. Hello. Oh, I got small. I don't know how I did that. Let's not do that. Hi. Hello. Hi. This is a bit weird. I'm not gonna lie. Why am I'm in black and white. Oh dear. Oh well. Hello. Hi. Suppose I should, you know, introduce myself and everything. My name is Aisling. Garnet. That's my name. That's who I am. Hello. I like books and drawing and writing and yeah. So today I'm going to tell you all about a really interesting place that I've been studying. So a little bit about me, of course, if you don't know. I'm from somewhere that's quite far away. Yes, it's quite far away. And I will not show it to you on a map for privacy reasons. Very important, you know, privacy reasons and all that. Don't want anyone, you know. Anyway, so, but today I'm going to tell you about a place that is where I've been visiting a lot, and studying and writing about. Yeah. Let me see if I can figure this out. Should probably find some like music, right? That would have been a good idea. I wish that strange panda would have done that for me before she went out of the room. Let's see. What's some good storytelling music? Fun BGM. Ah, that sort of worked. Let's go here. Let's what's this sound like? This is all fishing music. I have nothing against fishing music, we're not fishing. I don't feel like this is the right vibe. I don't know what the right vibe is. Comfy piano music. This sounds nice. Is it copyright free? I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I don't want anyone to get in trouble. I'm scared. This is scary. I've never done this before. Cozy cafe. Let's just include the words copyright free, and then we'll be fine. Okay, all right. Well, this sounds very cheerful. Anyway, I'm stalling. Whoops. Let's just get on with my plan. It's a very good plan, I promise. And I definitely know what I'm doing. Ta-da? Ta-da? Maybe? Please? What about this one? No? How about this? Yes, it worked. Love it when a plan comes together. Okay. Welcome to Yoshida City. A guide to the capital of Oria. That's the name of the country. And Yoshida is the capital city. Very important place. Most capitals are. Very interesting. Very large population. It's in the millions. I'm not very good with numbers. They leave my mind as soon as they enter it. But I know it's in the millions. It's a lot of people. It's a very busy city. Yes. Anyway, let's get going. I've got a very fancy layout for this PowerPoint. Look at this. Agenda. Very official. Very, very official, you know, obviously. This is our agenda for today. For today's lecture, if you will. I might. Who knows? But yes, everything's color coded. It's very bright and colorful. I enjoy that. This layout's quite colorful as well. It's very orange. She does like orange, doesn't she? I'm more of a pink person myself. I prefer pink, but that's just me. Personal preference. Anyway, so introduction. Yoshida City is a vibrant place full of all sorts of people. Anyone can be anything here, and there's always something going on. The city answers to the same government as the rest of the region, though they do have a mayor, as well as a council full of certain other figureheads, including the headmaster of Tochiyoshi Academy, the guildmaster of the island, and the chief of police. Very important people, all sort of coming together and, you know, looking after the city. But yeah, when I mean there's all sorts of people here, I mean there's all sorts of people. There's not just like regular humans, of which I am most of the time. But there's all sorts of people with animal features. People might find that quite surprising. Not very common in some places, I know. There's rumors of angels and demons, just all sorts of people, all around the city. Yeah, very, very, very interesting place. It's a very, very diverse place as well. You meet some really, really interesting people. Really interesting people. Anyway, location. Not everything happens in the same place. Obviously, it's a big city. You know, there's lots of things to see. Let's start with one of my favorite places to be. I know this isn't page 5. I messed up on the numbering. Maybe. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The numbering's correct. Brilliant. Anyway, the High Street. Now, this is a great place to start. Lots of people love sort of the urban bustling area of a city. This is a lot of interesting things, like bright colours, really stands out. You can lose yourself shopping for hours. And there's a few big ticket locations located on the city's High Street. Cafe Soiree is one of the most popular places for students and, you know, salary workers and things like that to come and chill. It's this lovely little French-style cafe, opened, you know, relatively fresh, you know, a year or so of history, I would say. But yeah, it's doing very well, very popular, you know, it kind of skyrocketed, really, in popularity. Their social media presence is quite strong. Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting rumors going around about, like an idol, like a singer, like a singer, like a popular singer. Apparently there's an idol working there, which is, you know, that sounds exciting. Maybe someone should look into that. Maybe. Anyway, there's also, obviously, there's also the Clockwork Vaudeville. It shines out as an attraction for all the folk of the city. The Clockwork Vaudeville, very, very interesting place. Yeah, it's fascinating out there. Yeah, the vaudeville. It's sort of like, well, it's a bit like a venue, but it's also a restaurant. But there's idols. The city has idols. Well, of course it does. Idols can come from anywhere in the world. Actually, that is something I didn't mention on this slide. It's not super close to the high street, but it's in the same sort of area. There's quite a large production company, like a TV production company. I'm not sure what the term for it is. Listen, honestly, this much modernity is staggering when you grow up where I grew up. We were living in the dark ages comparatively. But anyway, there's quite a large you know, television production company or something, but they also scout idols. They do music production. I know that I think one of the main producers there, he's quite a big deal. He owns quite like a few places in the in like few buildings in the city. But he visits the cafe a lot. And he has a very interesting personal assistant as well. There's a lot of rumors about her. She's this girl. She's this bright green-haired girl named Kalinka. And she's just seemed to have appeared out of thin air one day, and magnetized to this producer's side. And they are inseparable. They are constantly together. And there are just all sorts of, you know, theories about, like, ooh, where did she come from? Is she a contract assassin? That's a pretty sick tattoo she has on her midriff. So yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting time. Yeah. But yeah, the vaudeville, sorry. The vaudeville is, yeah, it's a venue, it's a restaurant. There's an arcade section. It has a robot band. That's pretty interesting. Not many places with a robot band, I would dare say. And they're very unique. They're lovely as well. I've visited most of the places I'm going to talk about today, like personally, but I have spent some time at the vaudeville with the robots, and they are just lovely. They are lovely conversation partners. They are so attentive as waiters and waitresses. I mean, all of the staff there. Most of the staff there are lovely. 75% of the staff are lovely. I'd say 90. It's a really nice place. You should visit it for yourself. It's very interesting. Gizmo, yes, Gizmo is. Oh, she's lovely. She's lovely. Yeah. But anyway, let's not dwell too much on individual places. Maybe we can chat about them a little bit later if any questions come up. But let's keep moving for our city tour. And those are some of the main places in the high street. Next up, we have the Academy. Toshioshi Academy is just the name of the academy. And it is one of the most central locations of the city. It's like bang in the middle. And it is huge. It's not just one specific academy. It has several divisions that cover all sorts of curriculum, from the mundane to monster combat. Yes, there are monsters. Among men, and also of, the type you find in storybooks, the scary type that you have to fight. Again, not human mortal monsters as in, like, strange... let's not get into the details. But bad things. Fight the bad things. Make them not eat people. Good idea. Yes. The battle division is one of the largest, most popular. It is where you'll find the most Phantasians in the city. For those who don't know what Phantasian is, they're also sort of occasionally known as Mythborn or things like that. It is the sort of catch-all term for humans with features of other things. So, like, features of animals, or perhaps inanimate objects that have come to life and developed a personality of their own. Yeah. Standard stuff. Standard stuff, really, yeah. Anyway, there's also the Horizon Honor Roll, which is a subdivision for the most exceptional students. You cannot pay to enter it. It is by merit alone, so very, very high renown, being part of the Horizon Honor Roll. And it is a very competitive, want to get in there. Everyone, there's a lot of pressure for certain people, I imagine, to get in there. Which is a shame, really. I think, you shouldn't really, no one deserves anything more than anyone else, everyone's sort of equal as a human being, and anyway, let's not get into the politics of it, but it exists, and it's colloquially, I've heard it referred to as the division for the smarty pants. But I digress. But speaking of rumors, there's some interesting rumors. There's a lot of interesting rumors. But there's a specific rumor about the Academy that there is a goddess of love in attendance. Now, here's the thing. Gods walking among men is always a fascinating idea. But it's actually quite common knowledge that there's sort of this process that, celestials go through to, sort of earn their titles, so to speak. So, angels will, have to perform certain duties and blah, 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 blah. And, it's thought that when, gods pass on their titles, the people, taking on those titles have to prove that they're worthy to, be the god or goddess of that thing. It's a big responsibility. So I imagine Goddess of Love has a lot of work to do. Poor soul. And I'm sure she's taking it really well. Anyway, the island! Lovely. Also known as the Isle of Trezor. This island is off the south coast of Aurea, and it is known best for being home of the Guild. The Guild is just referred to as the Guild. I don't believe it has an official name. I've tried looking. I've asked so many people, including the Guildmaster, and all they've told me is, oh yeah, it's the Guild. What? What do you mean? What do you mean it's just the Guild? Give it a name! Anyway. So for now, it's just the Guild. It doesn't have a name. It's just the Guild. But, that's not the only thing on the island. It's quite it's a substantial enough island. There's a few different, little places here and there, little residencies that people, live in, there's some beautiful beaches. And as I said, the other towns on Trezor are quite, inviting, and they're always welcoming, tourists and visitors. The island loves their visitors. Yeah, and it's a popular holiday destination, or like a day out, because it doesn't take that long to get there. It takes about a day. Well, not a full day. Like, it doesn't even take a day to get there. It takes an hour on a boat. Maybe less than an hour. I don't know. I don't usually have to catch the boat there. My travel times are you know, I have ways of getting to places. So, you know, I'm not sure how long it takes, but not that long. Doesn't need a name, it's already gone. The Guild is not a name. It's just a statement of what it is. At least the Adventurers Guild is called the Adventurers Guild. It's not even called an Adventurers Guild, it's just called the Guild. The function of the Guild is kind of a bit like an Adventurers Guild in, you know, sort of a fantasy setting. But they basically problem solve. They're the people you go to for problems that are not breaking the law, or they are the leading experts on any cases that include, you know, fantasians and any kind of magic. Because the standard city police don't normally cover those crimes or those you know, those incidents, because there's a lot going on. You know, there's a lot of moving parts when there's magic involved. So the Guild are sort of the experts on that. And any cases that the police find to, you know, be based on those things are passed along to the Guild, and the Guild help out. So, you know, yeah. They're also really nice. They take on apprentices all the time and give them a lot of skills. Just really, they seem like lovely people as well. The Guildmaster is a bit, he's lovely. He scares me a little bit. Just a little bit. He's lovely. He's always smiling. He's got this bright pink hair, with the little white bits. Yeah, he always seems so cheerful and so laid back and so carefree. But, you know, there's just, you get that vibe from some people. You know, you look at them and you think, I bet if you snap, all of us are doomed. And he's very much one of those people to me. He strikes me as, if you upset him enough, there would be severe consequences. There would be a lot of trouble. So, the core things that I sort of get myself involved with, the people I'm following closest. So at Toshioshi Academy, I focus on the Battle Division. I'm following a girl called Miku and her teammates. She is a wolf person, and she, you know, she's working hard with her team. Interestingly enough, she didn't know anyone on her team until they were all put together. That's kind of one of the quirks of the Battle Division, is you're suddenly paired up with a bunch of strangers, and you know, you have to suddenly bond and work together to overcome obstacles and things. It's very interesting. You know, and some of the relationships that form are really, you know, lovely to see. Others are a little bit more rocky, but that's fine. You know? Anyway, Cafe Soiree. These really are regular people living in an extraordinary city. Really. Riku, is the head waitress. At least that's what she calls herself. And her co-workers are, you know, fantastic. They're really welcoming. They love a chat. They love sitting down for a good chat, especially if the cafe is not too busy. I'll pop in and I'll give them someone to talk to, or sort of, they'll entertain me with, you know, their stories or their own shenanigans. Yeah, they're nice. The vaudeville, I've actually already written a little bit about the vaudeville. I have written about the vaudeville, and a little bit. I'm using the terms I and little bit very loosely. I've helped the vaudeville share some of their story, is probably the best way to phrase it. But yeah, it's a family business with a complicated history. Some of it not so great, but you wouldn't be able to tell it now. They are in a good place, you know, they're happy. The business is booming, you know. Vincent, Scott, Harriet, Charlie, you know, everyone else, it's very busy, very busy in there. Like I said, the staff, like, so many of them are lovely, and very welcoming and open and chatty. Some are a little pricklier than others. Some are a little bit more grumpy now and then. especially when you accidentally tell them that you're quite good friends with Riku, and then they tell you to get out because they think you're snooping on them for Riku's nefarious plans or something. I believe that's what he said to me. But you know, they're little things. And like I said, the robots are lovely. And yeah. I've met the the original owners as well. Very, very exciting. I felt like quite a VIP. Terrifying experience. I was so scared for most of that interaction. Yeah. But Henry was lovely. Anyway, Guild stories. Which is what I'm going to be sharing. I'm going to be sharing stories from the Guild. Again, like I said, very skilled individuals investigating mysteries in the city, and taking on problems that the police maybe can't cover themselves. And the sort of main person I've met from there is Tiff. Lovely woman, very strong, very tall, very anxious. But she's got that sort of quiet anxious, so you can't tell she's nervous, and then she accidentally snaps an entire branch off a tree, and you go, "Whoa, something bugging you?" And she goes, maybe a little. She's lovely. And her team as well, interesting bunch. There's Lily, she's lovely. Rose is quite loud and in your face, but not in a bad way. She's good. Her heart's in the right place. There's Charlie. He's quite grumpy. Like I said, William, the guildmaster. He's fantastic and friendly, but also quietly terrifying. And then there's Kiki, who is a crime creature. She is a crime creature. She is a creature that does crime. She is a cat. I believe she's being reformed, is what Tiff told me. Tiff said she found her doing crime, and Kiki put her paws into the wrong pocket, and whoops, now she's kind of making up for it by working with them. So that's interesting. And then, heaven on earth, surprise! It's not just rumors. There is a goddess of love at the academy. And she is, living her life as a young student. And her name is Sora, and she is so sweet. A sweet summer child. She's doing her best. Now, I don't know if the term magical girl means anything to anyone. I know when I dropped that term in front of my aunt, she thought it was very exciting. So, magical girls, that's sort of, Sora does magical girl stuff, but also tries to balance it out with trying to live sort of a normal life and experience life as a student. It's a lot for her, and she does it all with a beautiful smile on her face. She's really keeping it together. Bless her. But here's the fun part. Everything's connected. This whole city. You would be surprised by how easy it is to find someone who knows someone else from somewhere completely unrelated. So here we go, right? Here's a little trail of connection. So, from the guild, Tiff has bumped into many people and is friends with many people, including our favorite prickly little trendsetter, Charlotte, who is from the vaudeville. And Charlotte is the sister of Vincent, who in turn was in school with Riku and spent years of his school life getting teased by Riku. Riku, who is from the cafe, she's always in the know, but she's also always willing to give advice, especially to the very curious young Sora, who is from, Heaven on Earth. This was the nickname for their little stories. And, when Sora's not busy fighting evil, she's working hard at her classes in the academy. The academy, which is Tochiyoshi Academy, and the diligent students of Tochiyoshi's battle division look up to the guild as role models. It all comes back. Everybody knows somebody. I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, Pretty much everyone in this city can do that. Well, there's some version of that. You walk up to someone and you say, "Hey, have you heard of this person?" And the odds are yes. Or they've heard someone or something about them. Like, if you go to the vaudeville, you ask someone about the vaudeville, they'll either bring up Vincent, or they'll bring up, you know, the rumors about things that have happened there, or they'll bring up the band, and that'll be great. The guild, you know, people mention the guildmaster. The guildmaster, who is the brother of the owner of the cafe. I told you, there's so much going on here. You know, I felt a bit like a madman when I was first putting it all together. I had one of those big pin boards. You know the type, the big pin boards, and I had all these little Polaroids of people. And you know, I had them separated out into their sections. But then I started like putting pins in with little thread to connect who knew each other, and like making a little relationship chart, and I kept going and I kept going and I kept going and going, and it didn't end, and there was red yarn everywhere, and my family were concerned for me. Yeah, so I'm not allowed a conspiracy board anymore, but it was quite the adventure. I'll tell you that much. But yeah. Oh, in summary, I accidentally skipped the summary. In summary, it's a huge city, and it's impossible to pick out every interesting thing that happens in a city because there are millions of people living here. There's the mysterious clock tower on the edge of town, there's the history of how Yoshida came to be, the deep intricacies of magic that became so mundane as to become part of daily life. You know. And the best way you can learn about it is, you know, visiting yourself. And obviously, if you can't make the trip, I'm doing my best to help the stories get out there. You know? Thank you. That's me. Aisling Garnet, the red-eyed chronicler from another world. You can't see my eyes. They are red. You can't see that with this little thing that I was given by Tomo. But they are red. But yeah, I'm doing my best to share those stories. Some of the stories from the city. As I said, Clockwork Vaudeville, I've already managed to share their story. And I want to keep sharing more. Can I visit? I want to say hi to Tiff and read some of Riku's work. Well, yes. I mean, the city is always open to visitors, and I am sure you would be welcomed with open arms to the cafe. Riku is not shy about her creations. I've even had some art of myself gifted by her, which was quite the treat. She is very good at what she does. And Tiff is also lovely. She is very friendly. She's a little bit socially awkward, but she is genuinely very well-meaning, very kind. She tries to be friendly. She comes off as a little bit awkward. That's just the way she is. But like I said, lovely. Oh, you're welcome. It's sort of, you know, it's a bit of an honor, really, to be able to share all these stories and bear witness to them and get them out there. It's on Make Your Acquaintance. Oh, I'm happy. I'm glad. I've very much enjoyed this little sort of sharing about the things I've been studying for a while. You know, there's lots more to look into, and obviously there's lots more to share, but this was just sort of a whistle-stop tour, you know, so to speak, of some of the things going on. But yeah, I hope it's got some people interested in the wacky world of Yoshida City and, you know, everything else that's happening in Oria, and yeah. Like I said, if you want to find out more, currently I've only written about Clockwork Vaudeville, but there'll be more soon. And I'm very open to questions. So give me questions if you have them. Thank you. Okay, cool. I did it. That's it. Well, that was an interesting experience. I didn't know that PowerPoints were so easy. But yeah, that was fun. I can see why people do this. Right. I should probably get going. Obviously I have more stories to write. More people to observe, places to be, people to see, all that jazz, But it's been nice sharing things. Yeah. And yeah, if you have any questions as well, you can always ask Tomo. And she can pass them on to me. Who's your favorite one to visit nowadays? Oh, don't make me pick. Oh, that feels so cruel. Oh dear. Who's the gayest person you met in the city? Oh, right. As for my favorite one to visit, it really depends on the day. It depends what kind of mood you're in. Because the vaudeville is a great place to go if you want a little bit of, entertainment. It's quite a bustling place, quite bright. The cafe is good for taking it slow. I would say probably those two are my, main go-tos. Mostly because it's a lot harder to, get into a school. I've had to take up sort of a assistant position at the academy to, get a sort of glimpse into that side of life. And it's been interesting in and of itself, but that's sort of more of a work environment for me than, a place that I like to visit. The guild is quite relaxing. I like going to the beach on Trésor. Gosh, yeah, there's just lots of lovely places to go. Please don't break into the school, Miss Garner. I'm not. I'm allowed to be there. I'm meant to be there. I'm allowed. They've let me in. I'm allowed to be there. I'm helping. They thought I was a student at first, and I had to convince them that I was an adult and also not trying to enroll. Although maybe that could have been interesting. No. Besides, I prefer to get a lot of my stories from the people that are telling them. So, for example, with vaudeville, Vincent did the majority of telling his story, as well as the other diaries that he told me he ethically sourced them. I'm pretty sure he just stole them. I wouldn't put it past him to just rummage through people's drawers until he found their personal belongings. But, that's fine. Whatever helps get the story out there. And, Sora and Miku are very open to telling me everything that's going on. Yeah. As for the gayest person I've met in the city, that is a tough one. That is a very tough one. Because, what's your definition? Yeah, he collected them ethically, apparently. He stole them. He stole those diaries. So what's your definition? Do you mean, who's the most outwardly flamboyant? Do you mean who had the most relations with people? What's your definition of gayest? Really, what are you trying to quantify here? That's the important question to be asking. It's like saying what food is the most edible. There's that's a subjective question. What is your parameters for extremely gay? Let me see. I could try and maybe... Honestly, I just thought it was a funny question I didn't really think of. Wow. No. It's backfired now, hasn't it? Honestly. Gayest person. My impulse was to say Riku, but it's probably not. Because, there's those girls in the woods. That's pretty gay. I mean, Charlotte? She's got very strong lesbian vibes. Harriet literally has a rainbow in her hair. You know what? That's a good point. Who would Riku be most interested in writing fanfic about? Ooh! Now, Riku's persuasions are a mystery to most people. I would say, but that's a good game eater. That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. She was quite invested in Vincent and Scott's relationship, though I feel like there's a personal element to that because she grew up not alongside them, but she was, with them through school, and she sort of saw them going through things from afar. And she wanted the best for them, really, and she kind of knew, what was the best for them, and they were too stubborn to see it. Let's see, who else? Who else has she written about? She's threatened to write about me, to which I've asked her, pretty please don't. And she said, I won't for now. And I said, okay. Sure thing. Riku's like omnisexual? Everything sexual? I believe she identifies herself as pan. Okay, that's interesting. I've never looked into the difference between that and pan. Okay. That sounds interesting. Interesting. Let's see. She's written about... Who's she written about? I probably have to say Vincent and Scott, then. Yeah. Yeah. I'd probably say Vincent and Scott would be quite high on her fan fiction list. Given how invested she is in their relationship. I don't think she has a lot of interaction with some of the other people she might be interested in. Although I have told her about the two young men in the battle division and on Miku's team that have an interesting dynamic. One of them is a vampire, son of the chief of police, so big pressure. Young man by the name of Ash, and his sort of best friend is a werewolf. Yeah, vampires and werewolves, obviously. His best friend is a werewolf called Tyler, and they're very close. They're very close. In a way that I think Riku would find interesting. Oh, Tiff! Riku would also like to write fanfiction about Tiff, because Riku is very fond of Tiff. The two of them are quite close friends. Again, went to school together, knew each other, just quite, fond of each other, really. And you wouldn't think that those two personalities mesh together very well, but they do! You'd be surprised. They really do. They really get along great, and it's nice. Yeah. Yeah. Tyler's a lot more laid back than Ash is. Ash is quite... He's got a lot going on. He has a lot to put up with, so to speak. His dad is, as the chief of police, a very busy man, and a very old-fashioned man, shall we say. Actual question, what exactly necessitates having an entire battle division at the academy? From the perspective of our own world, it's kind of a wild thing to have. That's true! Yes, so from the perspective of your world, I can understand that. There are obviously the stories of things like cryptids and things pop up in the human world. I use the term very loosely. I'm not entirely sure how to separate it any better. But I don't know. Earth? That makes it sound like we're aliens. I don't know. Right. Your world, my world. Your world, well, it's not my world, but borrowed world. Anyway, I'll call it my world for now. Otherwise things are going to get far too confusing. Your world doesn't really have, sort of nasty creatures of darkness roaming around in the forest trying to eat people. Think of lions, for example. It's a bit like if the wilderness was full of way too many lions, and the lions were eating people and destroying property and just not being conducive to life. The wilderness of Aurea is full of things like that. Not, actual lions, like, the cat things, but beasts like that who are corrupted in one way or another. In some cases, this corruption is reversible. And, the guild try, in cases where it is, to save whatever creature that is affected. But in most cases, it is too late. And there's also, a separation of, like, what is a corrupted beast that was just a regular beast and then got corrupted, or just the corruption itself spawning as a thing. It's very complicated and confusing. I haven't looked too much into it, to be honest. I've been meaning to do sort of write-ups on the major differences. Eris... That's the name of my auntie, by the way. Auntie Eris. She's gonna kill me. Auntie Eris was telling me that while it's incredibly interesting hearing about all the things from the worlds I've visited, she would like sort of a bit of a primer or a cheat sheet about some of the reoccurring things. And, Jack, her partner, agreed. So I've been meaning to put together sort of a more, maybe even like an academic paper style kind of, well, obviously not an academic paper because those are boring and no one likes reading those, but, sort of a guide on, how magic works, what are runes, what are the different elements of magic, corruption and the beasts, the monsters and things, and what divisions exist, why do they exist, what's the deal with demons and angels walking around. Oh no, don't dox your aunt. It's okay, it's not doxing. It's just she's probably not bothered about me doxing her. I don't know, she's probably just a bit embarrassed, really. She sort of, keeps to herself. And obviously, with a name like hers, she gets some questions. People ask some questions, with a name like Eris. People ask questions, but, she's probably fine. She's living it up. So how ominous is the clock tower that's on the edge of town? Does it predate the city? Okay, so ominous. I would hesitate to call it ominous. It's sort of like when you see a lighthouse, in the distance, and it's sort of like, it's not scary, but it's just sort of there, And more so with the tower, not a lot is known about it, and it does predate the city. No one knows exactly how long it's been there. No one knows why it's there, or if it's functional. No one really knows what goes on inside. Or what purpose it serves, really. Like, is it just a clock tower? But if it was just a clock tower, why was it there before the city was? And there's all sorts of talk about it has some very interesting sort of magic wavelengths, I suppose, if you want to call it that. Magic signatures, not runes specifically, but like the energy coming off of it gives it the vibe that it is some kind of magic going on with it. But yeah. Has anyone tried to find out? I don't know. I think there's sort of this mindset of most people in the city, that when you grow up in the city, you sort of grow up knowing the clock tower is there, and there's this very solid belief, sort of culturally, with the people that the clock tower is there to protect us, we do not disturb it. And that seems to be the mindset of most of the people I've encountered. You know, I've tried asking more questions. I've tried asking, like, how does it protect the city? Like, who made it? And, like, you know, what is it doing to protect the city? Like, protect it from what? Because, you know, there's still monsters, there's still demons that affect the city here now and then, you know, not that, you know, most of monsters don't get into the main city very often, and is that because of how diligent the battle division and the guild are, or is that because of this mysterious clock tower that no one's telling me anything about? And yeah, basically I haven't been getting a lot of answers. But it is worth, you know, I will keep researching it because I think it's interesting. There's a lot of lore there, I think, that I'm missing out on. And I have heard rumors that there are other structures like it in different places, in different countries, that serve, I presume, the same purpose. So I don't know if there's more going on with that or not. Yeah. Clock Tower is very interesting, you know, thing to think about. And I do want to learn more about it. I don't know if anyone lives there. That's the other main thing. Some people are absolutely adamant that someone lives there. Others think it's empty. Others think it's haunted, full of ghosts. But yeah, if there is someone that lives there and is working hard to protect the city, I'd love to know more about them. You know, and what their life is like. Especially if people don't really know they exist. It must be really lonely. Anyway. What else is there to talk about? There's a lot of nice things. And there's a lot of interesting things. I'm pretty well up on rumors. Rumors do find their way to me quite often. Riku is extremely helpful for that as well. Somewhat being in the know. She's quite helpful for passing on any information she thinks will be interesting to me. Ghosts, you say? So there are ghosts in this city? Of course there are. There are all manner of, you know, supernatural beings. There are Fantasians, like I said. I mean, Charlotte is one. I was going to Google something. This music's very relaxing. I like this music. Oh, right. I've remembered. Right, okay. Yes. Let me see. Let me just flip. Yes, so. Fantasians. I feel like we should talk about this a little bit more. I mentioned it in passing, but ghosts would fall under the association or the sort of the umbrella term of a Fantasian. Fantasian is sort of the catch-all for what people might call yokai, cryptids. Mythborn is another term. Just anything that's not human is either celestial, a demon, or Fantasian. Those are sort of really, you know, the main things in the city that I've encountered. Or there's artificial life, you know, automatons and things, but That's its own category. Speaking of, actually, something really interesting I've been thinking about recently. Do you think robots have souls? Now, from what I know about how magic works, probably not. Because you can't manufacture that sort of thing. Anyone who's tried has caused a lot of problems. But I just wonder sometimes if there's a certain, like, level of sentience that a robot can reach in a same way that inanimate objects do and thus become mythborn or yokai. So there's a type of yokai called Tsukumogami, right? And these are like objects that turn into living things. So if an object can turn into a living thing, why can't a robot that is already behaving like a living thing gain sentience and become a living thing? That's something that I puzzle over quite a lot. Again, I don't really know a lot about souls either. I know souls are their only kind of their whole other thing besides magic. You don't even get taught about sort of the intricacies of souls in the academy anywhere. I don't think even Horizon studied that sort of thing. I'd have to find someone who's like an expert on the topic to learn more if they're willing to share with me. I don't know how secret that information is, but oh well. But yeah, there's just definitely like the vaudeville robots. They're very lifelike. And, you have to wonder. Sammy might be able to teach me? That is good shout. She has had sort of first-hand experience of, the Reaper. Who, is surprisingly someone I can't contact. Oh, yeah. That is a good shout, actually. Maybe I could have a couple of conversations with her. She might be able to tell me a few things that she's learned. Obviously, she probably didn't learn that much about the intricacies of souls. But I'll see what she knows and see if she can tell me anything she remembers. Yeah. She seems very fond of him, the Reaper. She refers to him as Death Dad. So, whatever happened in her short little stint in the afterlife must have been lovely. For her to have bonded with the sort of caretaker that much. Yeah. There's so many interesting things happening in this city. It's fascinating. But, she seems rather rise for age. That's true. Well, she's sort of the same age as me. I mean, technically. I think. If you look at the time that's passed, I think she's around my age. Although my age is somewhat odd. My age is slightly confusing, to say the least. I'm an adult. I know that much. When people ask me, they're like, Aisling, how old are you? And I'm like, 12. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, there's a 2 in there somewhere. And they're like, okay, that's not very specific, Aisling. And I'm like, haha! What's that over there? And then I run away. Yes. She's like... Charlotte's 20. So she's also 20, right? I don't know. These are the stories that humans have shared. Yes. Yes. Reading some of the things that she said to them, and some of the other things that I have had since reported to me having been said to other people, she certainly seems quite aware and wise beyond her, years. And she kind of is stuck with her sort of youthful appearance from forever, but yeah, she's definitely got her mind about her. She's definitely... Age, panic and run away. Listen, it's a complicated question, okay? My own story is complicated enough. Really. Things get complicated when you're one species and you're suddenly another species, and then you have all these expectations, and now you're going on adventures, and there's a floating eyeball, and I don't know, man. Cut me some slack. It's tough out here. I mean, Eris. Good old Auntie Eris. You look at her. She's permanently, 12? She does look like an adult, though. She's just very small. But she does get mistaken for a child now and then, and she gets unhappy about it, which is a reasonable thing to be unhappy about. But yeah. Things do get a little bit wibbly wobbly when you're dimension hopping, it's true. My dads actually were kind of grappling with that. The idea that I grew up so fast. And you always hear parents say, oh, they grow up so fast. But I grew up very fast. They went from knowing me as quite, young and scared to, oh, I'm an adult now. So, I grew up quite fast. Hello! Anyway. But anyway, I'm having a very lovely time. This music's quite relaxing. Quite like it. It's nearly over. Wow. I suppose I should let Tomo come back and let her, sort of take things back over and do whatever it is that she wanted to do next. I believe she said something about horses. Although I don't know what that's all about. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I quite like the hat. It's a little bit more Sherlock Holmes style than my hat, but it's very cool. It's very cool. There's the link thing for it. Safe travels, happy traveling. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, visit the city. Read vaudeville if you want to. And yeah. I'll see you around, I suppose. Maybe. Who knows? Let's go! Let's go! I'm back. I'm back, baby. Hello. So how did it go? How'd the PowerPoint go? You have a good time? Did everyone have a fun time? Did everyone learn something? Did everybody learn something nice about a funny little city? From Miss Garnet? From Miss Ashling? Yeah? Everybody have a nice time? I felt like I had to come in and be her hype man, after that. She's very soft-spoken, very gentle. I just have to kick the door down. Reassert myself. This is my stream! This is my stream, dude! Was fun. I'm glad. That's good to hear. Positive feedback all around then. Aisling said she had a great time. Yeah. She loves yapping, that girl. You know, honestly, if she wasn't already busy doing other things, she'd make a great streamer. You know? I think she'd really enjoy it. Like, a chance to share her stories and talk all the time, she would love that. She would thrive on that sort of thing. But yeah. Thanks for that. Anyway. So I figured that probably wouldn't take super long. So I did think maybe we could do, one Uma Musume career, and then make some tier lists, because I downloaded a bunch of things earlier for a tier list that I wanted to make. So yeah, we can do that. But I kind of want to split up the VOD, because, you know, and then if I ever decide to edit that down and post it somewhere, we have a shorter VOD to pick it up from. Oh, well. Well, that's fine. Go! Past old history of an original panda, let's go! Oh, I'm too tall. I'm too tall! Hello! Let's go! Oh, she's so... Oh my god. She has one mouth shape and it's happy. Anyway. I will VRV. Let's get that final trophy. Wowee.